I'm Jason, your host.
And I'm Julia, your co-host. Hey everyone, so excited to have you here today.
Absolutely. Today, we're going to talk about something really important for anyone learning English, something that can change the way you speak and think.
Yes, we're talking about how to make your brain think in English. Not just speak English, but actually start thinking in English automatically.
Exactly. You know, many learners translate every sentence from their native language into English, and that makes speaking really slow and stressful.
Totally. And the good news is you can train your brain to think in English, just like a native speaker, with some simple steps.
Today, we'll go through why your brain translates, how to shift your mindset, and practical techniques you can start using today.
So whether you're at home, at work, or even walking outside, by the end of this podcast, you'll know exactly how to start thinking in English naturally.
That's right. And don't worry, we'll keep it simple, practical, and easy to follow, especially if you're a beginner.
All right, let's get started and help your brain start speaking English on its own.
So, Julia, let's talk about why most learners translate everything in their head instead of thinking directly in English.
Yes, Jason. I think this is something every beginner struggles with. You know, when we learn English, we usually learn it as a subject, not as a language to use.
Exactly. And because of that, our brain naturally wants to convert English into our native language first, so it feels safe and easier to understand.
Right. For example, if I want to say I'm going to the store, I first think about how to say it in my own language, and then I translate it into English.
And that's the problem. Translation takes time, and sometimes we forget words, or we make mistakes because we're thinking in two languages at once.
Also, it makes speaking slower and less confident. Imagine trying to have a conversation while constantly translating. It's exhausting.
Exactly. And the more you translate, the more your brain depends on it, and the harder it is to speak naturally.
But don't worry, this is completely normal. Almost every beginner does it. The good news is, you can train your brain to think in English so your speaking becomes faster and smoother.
Yes. And today, we're going to show practical steps to stop translating and start thinking in English, so your brain begins to speak English automatically. All right, Julia. Now that we know why translation slows us down, let's talk about the most important step: changing our mindset.
Yes, Jason, because the truth is, if you keep thinking in your native language, nothing else will really work. You need to start experiencing English, not just translating it.
Exactly. And what does experiencing English mean? It means seeing English as a tool to communicate, not as a subject to memorize.
Right. For example, instead of thinking, how do I say this in English? You try to understand the meaning directly in English. You feel the idea first, then the words come naturally.
It's kind of like learning to ride a bike. You don't stop and think about every single movement. Your brain learns to do it automatically over time.
Exactly. And this is why making mistakes is okay. Thinking in English isn't about being perfect. It's about training your brain to create English thoughts naturally.
Yes. And the more you practice this mindset, the faster your brain switches to English without translating. You'll notice your speaking becomes smoother, your listening gets better, and you feel more confident.
So remember, the first step is always the mindset. Stop translating. Start experiencing English and let your brain think in English naturally.
Perfect. And after mindset, we move to practical steps, how to build an English environment in your brain every day. All right, Julia, now that we've talked about mindset, let's get practical. The first step is building an English environment in your mind.
Yes, think of it like creating a mini English world around you. The more your brain is surrounded by English, the faster it starts thinking in English automatically.
Exactly. And there are simple ways to do this. For example, you can change your phone or social media language to English. That way, you see English words and sentences every day.
Another tip is to name things around you in English. When you see a chair, a table, or even your coffee cup, think or say the word in English. Your brain starts connecting objects and actions directly to English words without translating.
Yes, and you can also talk to yourself in English during simple daily activities. For example, when you're cooking, you can think, I'm cutting the vegetables. I need water.
Exactly. And even if it feels strange at first, keep doing it. Your brain is like a muscle. The more you train it in English, the stronger it becomes.
Right. And this step is not about perfection. Even 5 to 10 minutes of thinking in English every day can make a huge difference over time.
So remember, build your English environment. Change language settings, name objects, describe actions, and slowly your brain will start living in English.
Perfect. And once you've created this environment, the next step is learning English in chunks, not single words, so your brain can think faster and speak naturally. All right, Julia. So now that we've built an English environment in our minds, the next step is learning in chunks, not single words.
Yes. Many learners make the mistake of memorizing individual words, like apple, go, or happy. But then they struggle to use them in real sentences.
Exactly. Learning chunks means learning phrases or small sentences that you can use immediately. For example, instead of just happy, you learn, I'm so happy today.
Yes. Or instead of just go, you learn phrases like I'm going to the store or let's go together. These chunks help your brain think in English naturally without translating.
And the beauty of chunks is that you can mix and match them to speak freely. Once you know a few chunks, you don't have to think about grammar rules all the time. Your brain already knows the pattern.
Exactly. And one more tip, try to practice these chunks out loud. Speak them in different situations, or even write them down in your daily journal in English.
Yes, repetition is key. The more you use these chunks, the more your brain stores them as automatic English thoughts, instead of translating them word by word.
So remember, focus on useful phrases and small sentences, not just single words. This is how you train your brain to think and speak in English faster.
Perfect. And the next step after this is training your inner voice in English, so you can actually think in English even when you're alone. All right, Julia. Now that we're learning English in chunks, the next important step is training your inner voice in English.
Yes, Jason, this is really powerful. Your inner voice is what you think silently in your head. If your inner voice is in your native language, you'll always translate when speaking.
Exactly. So the goal is to think directly in English, even when you're alone. Start with simple sentences about your day. For example, I am eating breakfast, or I will go to the market.
Yes. Another great exercise is thinking out loud in English. Talk to yourself about what you're doing, what you're feeling, or what you plan to do next.
And you can also use shadowing. That's when you listen to English speakers and repeat what they say, copying their words, rhythm, and pronunciation. It's like training your brain and mouth at the same time.
Exactly. And don't worry if it feels strange at first. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Soon, your brain will start creating English thoughts automatically without translating.
Yes, Julia. So remember, practice your inner voice. Think in English silently, speak out loud, and shadow native speakers. This step really connects your mind and mouth in English.
And when you do this every day, even for 5 to 10 minutes, your English thinking speed will improve, and you'll notice speaking becomes much easier.
Perfect. And after this, we'll talk about common mistakes learners make that stop them from thinking in English. All right, Julia, we've learned the mindset and the practical steps, but before we move on, let's talk about some common mistakes that stop learners from thinking in English.
Yes, Jason, I see this all the time. The first mistake is waiting to be perfect. Many learners think, I can't speak English because I'll make mistakes.
Exactly. And the truth is, mistakes are part of learning. If you wait for perfection, your brain will never start thinking in English naturally.
The second mistake is overusing translation apps. While apps can help, Relying on them too much keeps your brain in translation mode instead of training it to think directly in English.
Right. And the third mistake is learning too much, but practicing too little. You might study grammar rules, memorize hundreds of words, or watch lessons, but if you don't use English daily, your brain won't form automatic English thoughts.
Exactly. The key is consistent practice, even small daily steps like thinking, speaking, or writing in English. This is what really trains your brain.
Yes, so remember, don't wait for perfection. Don't rely too much on translation, and practice every day. Avoiding these mistakes will make your English thinking much faster.
Perfect. And after avoiding these mistakes, the next step is creating a simple daily routine to train your brain to think in English.
All right, Julia. Now that we know the mistakes to avoid, let's talk about a simple daily routine to train your brain to think in English.
Yes, the best routines are short, consistent, and easy to follow. Even just 10 to 15 minutes a day can make a big difference.
Exactly. For example, you can start your day by thinking in English while brushing your teeth or having breakfast. Say simple sentences in your head like I'm brushing my teeth or I'm having breakfast.
Another idea is to listen to English while doing something else, like walking or cooking. Your brain starts hearing English patterns naturally, which helps thinking in English later.
Yes, and don't forget speaking practice. Even if you're alone, try talking to yourself about your plans or describing what you see. For example, I am walking to the market. It's sunny today.
And finally, you can write small notes in English about your day. It doesn't have to be long, just a few sentences. This trains both your thinking and writing in English.
Exactly. So your daily routine can include thinking, listening, speaking, and writing in English every day consistently.
If you follow this routine even a little bit every day, your brain will slowly start thinking in English automatically, without you even trying.
Perfect. And after this, we'll wrap up with motivation, summary, and a call to action to make sure learners put these steps into action. All right, Julia, we've covered a lot today. Mindset, practical steps, daily routines, and common mistakes. Before we end, let's give our listeners some motivation to start thinking in English today.
Yes, remember, learning English is a journey, and your brain can be trained just like a muscle. Every small step you take today brings you closer to thinking and speaking naturally in English.
Exactly. Let's quickly summarize what we learned today. Stop translating and experience English. Build an English environment in your mind. Learn in chunks, not single words. Train your inner voice. Avoid common mistakes. follow a simple daily routine consistently.
Yes, Jason. And the key is practice and consistency. Even a few minutes a day, if done regularly, can completely change the way your brain thinks in English.
So here's my challenge for our listeners. Start today. Speak a few sentences in English. Write down your thoughts. Or think in English while doing a daily activity. Start small, but start now.
And don't forget, make it fun. Enjoy the process, celebrate your progress, and don't worry about mistakes. Your brain is learning, and every step counts.
Absolutely. And if you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe, share, and leave a comment to tell us how you started training your brain to think in English.
Yes, we love hearing your progress. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and soon you'll notice your brain naturally thinking in English.
Thanks for listening, everyone. See you in the next episode, and keep thinking in English.
Bye, everyone. Keep practicing.